Hello kids, you're welcome to the channel once again. Today we are here for another bedtime story, and this one has a fantastic title and it's titled Hansel and Gretel. Before we start, let's ginger ourselves with a little bit of entertainment.
Daddy finger, where are you? Here I am, how do you do?
Mommy finger, where are you? Here I am, how do you do?
Brother finger, where are you? Here I am, how do you do?
Sister finger, where are you? Here I am, how do you do? Baby finger, where are you? Here I am, how do you do?
Yeah, before we go to it, if you are new here, kindly subscribe to the channel. You can give me a like if you like it and press on the notification bell icon so that you get notified each and every time we release a bedtime story. And guess what? It is every day. Today our story is Hansel and Gretel. So let's get ready to rock into it. Once upon a time, there lived near a large wood a poor woodcutter and his wife and two children by his former marriage. A little boy called Hansel and a girl named Gretel. He had little enough to break a bite, and once, when there was a great famine in the land, he could not procure even his daily bread. And as he lay thinking in bed one evening, rolling about for trouble, he sighed and said to his wife, "What will become of us? How can we feed our children when we have no more than we can eat ourselves?" "No then, my husband," answered she. "We will lead them away quite early in the morning into the thickest part of the wood, and then make them a fire, and give them each a little piece of bread. Then we will go to our work, and leave them alone. Say they will not find their way home again, and we shall be freed from them." "No, wife," replied he, "that I can never do. How can you bring your heart to leave my children all alone in the wood? For the wild beasts will soon come and tear them up in pieces." "Oh, you simpleton," she said, "then we must all four die of hunger. You had better build the coffins for us." But she left him no peace till he agreed, saying, But I shall regret the poor children." The two children, however, had not gone to sleep for very hunger, for so they overheard what the stepmother said to their father. Gretel wept bitterly and said to Hansel, "What will become of us?" "Be quiet," Gretel said he. "Do not cry. I will soon help you." And as soon as their parents had fallen asleep, he got up, put on his coat, and unlocking the back door, slipped out. The moon shone brightly, and the white pebbles which lay before the door seemed like silver pieces. They glittered so brightly. Hansel stooped down and put as many into his bucket as it would hold. And then going back, he said to Gretel, "Be comforted, dear sister, and sleep in peace. God will not forsake us." And so saying, he went to bed again. The next morning, before the sun arose, the wife went and awoke the two children. "Get up, you lazy things. We are going to the forest to chop wood." Then she gave them each a piece of bread, saying, "There is something for your dinner. Do not eat before the time, for you will get nothing else." Gretel took his bread and her apron, for Hansel's pocket was full of pebbles, and so they all set out upon their way. When they had gone a little distance, Hansel stood still and peeped back at the house, and this he repeated several times till his father said, "Hansel, what are you peeping at? And why do you lag behind? Take care and remember your legs." "Ah, father," said Hansel, "I'm looking at my white cat sitting upon the roof of the house and trying to say goodbye." "You simpleton," said the wife, "that is not a cat. It is only the sun shining on the white chimney." But in reality, Hansel was not looking at a cat, but every time he stopped, he dropped a pebble out of his bucket upon the path. When they came to the middle of the forest, the father told the children to collect wood, and he would make them a fire, so that they should not be cold. So Hansel and Gretel gathered together quite a little mountain of twigs. Then they set fire to them, and as the flame burnt up high, the wife said, "Now you children, lie down near the fire and rest yourselves, while we go into the forest and chop wood. When we are ready, I will come and call you." Hansel and Gretel sat down by the fire, and when it was noon, each ate a piece of bread, and because they could hear the blows of an axe, they thought their father was near. But it was not an axe, but a branch which he had bound to a whitened tree, so as to be blown to and fro by the wind. They waited so long at last their eyes closed from weariness, and they fell fast asleep. When they awoke, it was quite dark, and Gretel began to cry. "How shall we get out of this wood?" But Hansel tried to comfort her by saying, "Wait a little while till the moon rises, and then we will quickly find a way." The moon soon shone forth, and Hansel, taking his sister's hand, followed the pebble, which glittered like new coined silver pieces, and showed them the path. All night long they walked on, and as day broke, they came to their father's house. They knocked at the door, and when the wife opened it and saw Hansel and Gretel, she exclaimed, "You wicked children! Why did you sleep so long in the wood? We thought you were never coming home again." But their father was very glad, for it had grieved his heart to leave them all alone. Not long afterward, there was again great scarcity in every corner of the land. And one night, the children overheard their stepmother saying to their father, "Everything is again consumed. We have only a half a loaf left, and then the song is ended. The children must be sent away. We will take them deeper into the wood, so they don't find their way again this time around." But her husband felt heavy at heart and thought it were better to share the last crust with the children. His wife, however, would listen to nothing that he said, and scolded and reproached him without end. Given he agreed the first time, it was not harder for him to refuse again. The children, however, had heard the conversation as they lay awake, and as soon as the old parent went to sleep, Hansel got up, intended to pick up some pebbles as before. But this the wife had locked the door, so that he could not get out. Nevertheless, he comforted Gretel, saying, "Do not cry. Sleep in quiet, the good Lord will not forsake us." Early in the morning, the stepmother came and pulled them out of bed, and gave them each a slice of bread, which was still smaller than the former. On the way, Hansel broke his in his pocket, and stopping every now and then, dropped a crumb upon the path. "Hansel, why do you stop and look about?" said the father. "Keep in the path." "I'm looking for a little dove," answered Hansel, nodding a goodbye to me. "Simpleton," said the wife, "that is no dove, but only the sun shining on the chimney." But Hansel still kept dropping crumbs as he went along. The mother led the children deep into the wood, where they had never been before, and then, making an immense fire, she said to them, "Sit down here and rest, and when you feel tired, you can sleep for a little while. We are going into the forest to hew wood, and in the evening, when we are ready, we will come and fetch you." When noon came, Gretel shared her bread with Hansel, who had strewn his on the path. Then they went to sleep. But the evening arrived, and no one came to visit the poor children. In the dark night, they awoke, and Hansel comforted his sister by saying, "Only wait, Gretel, till the moon comes out, then we shall see the crumbs of bread which I have dropped, and there will show us home." The moon shone, and they got up, but they could not see any crumbs, for the thousands of birds which had been flying about in the woods and field had picked them all up. Hansel kept saying to Gretel, "We will soon find the way." But they did not, and they worked the whole night long, and the next day, but still they did not come out of the wood. And they got so hungry, but they had nothing to eat, but the berries which they found upon the bushes. Soon they got so tired, and they could not drag themselves along, so they lay down under a tree and went to sleep. It was now the third morning since they had left their father's house, and they still walked on, but they only got deeper and deeper into the wood. And Hansel saw that if help did not come very soon, they would die of hunger. At about noonday, they saw a beautiful snow-white bird sitting upon a bough, which sang so sweetly that they stood still and listened to it. It soon stopped, and spreading its wings flew off. They followed it until it arrived at a cottage, upon the roof of which it perched. And when they went close up to it, they saw that the cottage was made of bread and cakes, and the window panes were of clear sugar. "We will go in there," said Hansel, "and have a glorious feast. I will eat a piece of the wood, and you can eat the window. Will they not be sweet?" So Hansel reached up and broke a piece of the roof in order to see how it tasted, while Gretel stepped up to the window and began to bite it. Then a sweet voice called out in the room, "Tip tap, tip tap, who raps at my door?" And the children answered, "The wind, the wind, the child of heaven." And they went on eating without interruption. Hansel thought the roof tasted very nice, so he tore off a great piece, while Gretel broke a large round pan out of the window and sat down quite contentedly. Just then the door opened, and a very old woman walking upon crutches came out. Hansel and Gretel were so frightened, and they let fall what they had in their hands. But the old woman, nodding her head, said, "Ah, you dear children, what has brought you here? Come in and stop with me, and no harm shall befall you." And so saying, she took them both by the hand and led them in her cottage. A good meal of milk and pancakes with sugar, apples, and nuts was spread on the table. In the dark of the room were two nice little beds, covered with white, where Hansel and Gretel laid themselves down and thought themselves in heaven. The old woman behaved very kindly to them, but in reality she was a wicked witch who captured children and built the bread house in order to entice them in. But as soon as they were in her power, she killed them and made great festival of the day. Witches have red eyes and cannot see very far, but they have fine sense of smelling, like wild beasts, so they know when children approach them. When Hansel and Gretel came near the witch house, she laughed wickedly, saying,
Another foolish child dares to trespass on this wicked place. Here, now a spell to remove that smile from your pretty face. Huggles and haggardash and eyes of a crow. All powers are mine now, and all that you know. Double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Around about the cauldron go, in the poison entrails throw. Sweltered venom, sleeping got, boil thou first in the charmed pot. I see my next ingredient has arrived. With you my spell no longer deprive. Your youth and flesh the only price to ensure me of eternal life.
Well, let's see what happened. And early in the morning, before they awoke, she went up to them and saw how lovely they lay sleeping. With their comely red cheeks, she mumbled to herself, "That would be a good bite." Then she took up Hansel with her rough hands and shut him up in a little cage with a lattice door. And although he screamed loudly, it was of no use. Gretel came next, and shaking her till she awoke, the witch said, "Get up, you lazy thing, and fetch some water to cook something good for your brother. You must remain in that stall and get fat." When he is fat enough, I shall eat him." Gretel began to cry, but it was all useless, for the old witch made her do as she wishes. So a nice meal was cooked for Hansel, but Gretel got nothing but a crab's claw. Every morning the old witch came to the cage and said, "Hansel, stretch out your finger that I may feel whether you are getting fat." But Hansel used to stretch out a bone, and the old woman, having very bad sight, thought it was her finger. The old witch wondered why much that he did not get farther. When 4 weeks had passed and Hansel still kept quite lame, she lost all her patience and would not wait any longer. "Gretel," she called out in a passion, "get some water quickly." That Hansel sat all lean. "This morning I will kill and cook him." Oh, how the poor little sister grieved as she was forced to fetch the water, and fast the tears ran down her cheeks. "Dear good God, help us now," she exclaimed. "Have we only been eaten by the wild beasts in the wood? Then we should have died together." But the old witch called out, "Leave off that noise, it will not help you a bit." So early in the morning, Gretel was forced to go out and fill the kettle and make a fire. "First we will bake, however," said the old woman. "I have already heated the oven and kindled the dough." And so saying, she pushed poor Gretel up to the oven, out of which the flames were burning fiercely. "Creep in," said the witch, "and see if it is hot enough, and then we will put in the bread." But she intended that when Gretel got in to shut up the oven and let her bake, so that she might eat her as well as Hansel. Gretel perceived that her thoughts were, and said, "I do not know how to do it. How shall I get in?" "You stupid goose," said she. "The opening is big enough. See, I could even get in myself." And she got up and put her head into the oven. When Gretel gave her a push so that she fell right in, and then shutting the iron door, she bolted it. Oh, how horrible, she howled. But Gretel ran away and left the ungodly witch to burn to ashes. Now she ran to Hansel and opened the door, called out, "Hansel, we are saved. The old witch is dead." So he sprang out like a bird out of his cage when the door is opened, and then they were so glad and fell upon each other's neck and kissed each other over and over again. And now, as there was nothing to fear, they went into the rich house, where in every corner were a casket full of pearls of precious stones. "These are better than pebbles," said Hansel, putting as many into his pocket as it would hold, while Gretel thought, "I will take some too," and filled her apron full. "You must be off now," said Hansel, "and get out of his enchanted forest." But when they had walked for 2 hours, they came to a large piece of water. "We cannot get over," said Hansel. "I can see no bridge at all, and there is no boat either," said Gretel. "But there swims a little duck, and I will ask for help." So they went to ask help. The little duck sank.
Came back. 4 little ducks went swimming one day over the pond and far away. Mother duck said quack, 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 but only 3 little ducks came back. 3 little ducks went swimming one day over the pond and far away. Mother duck said quack, 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 but only 2 little ducks came back. 2 little ducks went swimming one day over the pond and far away. Mother duck
Finally, the duck came to them, and Hansel sat himself on and bade his sister sit behind him. "No," answered Gretel, "that will be too much for the duck. She shall take us over one at a time." This the good little bird did, and when both were happily arrived on the other side, he had gone a little way. They came to a well-known wood, which they knew the better every step they went, and at last they saw their father's house. When they began to run and bustle into the house, they fell into their father's arms. He had not had one happy hour since he had left the children in the forest, and his wife has died. Gretel shook her apron, and the bells of precious stones rolled out upon the floor, and also threw down one handful after the other out of his pocket. Then all their sorrow were ended, and they lived together happy ever after. The end. If you enjoy this, don't forget to subscribe, because we release daily bedtime stories. Have a very good night. Good night to you all till we meet. Bye bye. Hello kids, you're welcome to the channel.